I am simply not that tall. Good evening. Thank you all for coming to see my show tonight. Just kidding. I know I am not the Sexton that you are here to see, but that's all right. I'll be out of the way in just a minute. And I have everything written here in my special notebook, so for those of you that prioritize being succinct, Pastor Tommy, I probably won't ramble too much. I do have the distinct privilege of introducing Josh tonight, and I think I deserve it. I've been putting up with him since he showed up. His particular brand of silliness. But I do have Josh at a bit of a disadvantage tonight. See, I have some idea about some of what he may say. He has no idea what I'm about to say. And I'd say there's a good chance that I am the antagonist in some of the stories that you may hear. And that's okay too. I deserve that. I have the right, as the firstborn, to keep the secondborn in check. I think most of you probably understand that. And the inherent responsibility to keep the thirdborn, the fourthborn, the fifthborn, the sixthborn, the seventh, eighth, and ninthborn all in check as well. By the way, younger siblings, I understand, I realize that I am a little bit overdressed. For those of you that don't know, I do tend to take a little bit of the occasional good-natured ribbing for sometimes, occasionally, erring on the side of formality. But I think that that's just a byproduct of growing up with Josh. He got the height, the humor, and the hair. At least I can still outdress him, right, Miss Jenny? My brother's life has often been marked by physical suffering. From a childhood filled with near-death experiences, many of which were due to crazy allergic reactions to literally everything, to an adulthood plagued by an excruciating, often debilitating, incurable neurological disease that he may give us a little bit of a window into this evening. A life marked by suffering, but characterized by the grace of God. Characterized by joy, humor, selflessness, faith, faithfulness, commitment, toughness, compassion. I am confident that we're going to laugh a lot tonight. And laughter is a wonderful medicine. And it's been central to my life the last 37 years living with and around Josh. I think you're going to leave here with sore abs and ribs and a smile on your face. I do. But my hope, my prayer, is that you also leave tonight with a little reminder. A reminder that the Creator of the universe loves you, that He's chosen to make a way for you to know Him and love Him back. That in spite of your suffering, your failures, your times of sorrow and loss, you are precious in His sight. That He's the only source of true joy or peace. That in this life and the next, as Josh likes to say, Jesus wins. I hope the message in Josh's stories inspires a little reminder in all of us. Even though our lives may be, I would rather will be, marked by pain, suffering, our own failures, they can be characterized by the message that Josh is so passionate about. Jesus wins. Ladies and gentlemen, will you help me welcome my little brother, the toughest, funniest guy I know, Mr. Josh Sexton.
So here's the thing. Some of you are thinking right now, I thought this was a Christian show. That was not Christian music. So here's the thing. I was trying to figure out how to start this thing, right? Besides just getting up here and going, thank y'all for being here and missing the Duke UNC game, all right? And I was trying to figure it out. How do you make everybody comfortable? Because, you know, there's going to be a lot of Christians here, maybe some that aren't, but there's some people that are going to be a little uncomfortable, and I want you to be comfortable, okay? I want you to be comfortable. I don't want you to be put off by the Satan drums, you know? Because Satan came over with the drums with the Beatles. I know, some of you believe that. It's okay. But I wrote a song for you to make you feel comfortable. Those of you who felt left out by that music, you're like, that's not really my thing. I wrote you a song, okay? Some of y'all are good old boys and girls, and I've got a song for you. Hang on. Now, this is more the kind of music that we like around here, okay? It's called I Hate Country Music. Hang on. Yep, got it. Okay. I love my pretty wife, and she ain't leaving me. I love my baby girls, and they know that I'm their daddy. I drive a pickup truck, but I don't obsess about my dogs. And I don't even know what it means to live high on the hog. That's why I hate country music with all my heart. It pains me right down to the core when I hear them yeehaw start. I love God and I hate Joe Biden. And I even go to church. But I hate country music with all my heart. I don't mind big mud tires, except when they're worth more than your truck. And it ain't the highlight of my year when I see somebody stuck. I don't want to watch the race. It don't excite me when they crash. And the first time that I tried to dip, it knocked me on my face. That's why I hate country music with all my heart. It pains me right down to my core when I hear them banjos start. I love God and I hate Joe Biden, and I even go to church. But I hate country music with all my heart. One more. I don't want to fish the creek, and I don't want to watch for deer. And I don't wear clothes that advertise my favorite kind of beer. I don't wear cowboy hats, and I don't wear cowboy boots. My belt buckle don't say my name, and I don't think my cousin's cute. You know who you are. That's why I hate country music with all my heart. It pains me right down to the core when I hear them hee-haws start. I love God and let's go Brandon, and I even go to church. But I hate country music with all my heart. Thank you. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of my way. All right, let's see here. So thank y'all for real for being here this evening. I'm going to tell y'all real quick. When I was young, I did I had this bright idea as a teenager that I was going to do a service in this. quality control is really on point. There were my glasses too. I was going to wear my, speaking of these glasses, I was going to wear my contacts, and but they're new. I just got contacts a little while ago because I'm having trouble with my vision because of that neurological thing Joey was talking about. And so I was like, I'm tired of these glasses. I lose them. I buy like 7 pairs a week and I lose them. And so I was like, I'm going to go get contacts. So I got contacts, but I got these fingers that don't really work with contacts. And my wife and my daughter wear contacts, and they were like, it's fine, it's easy. Just you put it on your finger and you put it in your eyeball, it's easy. So after like 17 minutes of going, finally I was like, I can't do it! I'm done with this! And when he's like, stop being a baby, put the contacts in. So I finally got used to it. Well, I show up on a job site, I'm dealing with concrete, I got a piece of concrete in the contact falls on the truck floor, I stomp on the contact, and then I'm going, I'm done! So I talked to the lady and I was like, listen, I need something that is just like every day. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You can just wear them for a day and then throw them away. I was like, give them for me for a day and let me throw them away. So I got them, first day I got them, I was going to put them in. And I said, so I put them in, I wore them for about an hour and a half, and my eyes got all scratchy and weird, so I'm sitting there trying to watch the game, just going, this is awful. And I said, Whitney, what do I do about the scratchy eyes? This is brutal. I said, you have any eye drops? She said, just use the stuff that's in the cabinet. It's the cleaner, it works for eye drops, just grab that and use that. And I was like, okay, cool. So I started walking, I was like, wait, which one? She goes, you know the stuff you put in the thing with the stuff? Put that in your, it's simple. It's in the cabinet, right? And I was like, fine. So I go in there and I open the cabinet and I'm looking. I don't see anything. Then I see a big bottle that seems to say, it looks like the thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this has got to be it. So I grab it, pop it, lean back. I'm like, I can do this. And I sprayed acid directly in my eyeball. All of a sudden I realized that I have poured liquid fire into my eyes, right? So I'm on my hands and knees in the bedroom going, Whitney! What did I do? Well, my wife thinks she's funny, so she's halfway down the hall going, what is it, sweetie? What do you need, sweetie? Does him need some help? Well, shut up and help me! I'm dying here. So she walks in, looks at the bottle, and goes, no. That wasn't the right stuff, right? So now I have my glasses. So here's the thing. I make jokes about the song, right? Uncomfortable. I grew up in church. Now, some of you grew up in church. So some of these stories that I remember from my childhood, you'll relate to, okay? And by the way, I do have a neurological disorder. I do have notes, and here's the thing. I don't have much of a short-term memory. But I was a pastor for a long time, so I got my bullet points, right? 3 points, 3 sub-points, and a poem, and we'll be out of here, okay? I grew up in church. One of the things I remember the most about growing up in church is my fear that the rapture was going to happen. You guys ever remember coming home and nobody was home, and you thought people were supposed to be home? So you open the door and you go, Mommy? Dad? God! Mom! Lord, take me now! I'm so sorry! That fear of missing it. But when I was growing up, everything was a sin. Y'all remember that? Y'all have that experience? Y'all remember that? Like everything. Tattoos? You go, why? Why? The Bible says not to mark your body. It also says not to eat ham in the same section. It's in the same section, right? Okay, so here's the thing. We always had flannel graphs when I was growing up. Do y'all remember flannel graphs? Remember children's church with the flannel graphs? And then they'd be like, this is Moses. Flannel graph, right? Then there's Abraham on the flannel graph. The thing is, they always use Jesus the most. Jesus would never stay on the flannel graph, you know? Because every week they would use Jesus and he would fall off and then they'd pick him up and put him back. That doesn't seem to be. But there were some stories that I would read about in the Bible that there was never on the flannel graph. Like We all remember Joshua, right? Joshua and Jericho. And they marched and they blew the trumpets and Jericho fell down. But right before that happens, Joshua was given a command, and it was never in the Bible stories. In children's church, they never brought this up. And it says that Joshua was having a conversation with the angel, and the angel told him to go back and recircumcise his entire army. Let that sink in for a second. You ever had a day at work where you walk in and your woman looks at you and goes, "How was your day?" And you're like, "I don't want to talk about it." Imagine being Joshua. "Hey, honey, what'd you do at work today?" "Oh." "What'd you do today?" Probably just sitting there on the couch staring at the wall. I can't unsee it. When I was growing up, I have an interesting, some of the stuff that Joey said, which by the way, I wouldn't expect him to say a lot of that. It's kind of hard to be back there wiping tears. It's like, okay, be funny. I couldn't read till I was 9 years old. 9. So remember what I said about the culture, right? And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But when you can't read till you're 9, it makes all sorts of social interactions with other kids rather awkward. I remember sitting in Sunday school. Remember the sword drills? Yeah. Amen, brother. Yeah, we got some churchgoers in here. Sword drills, right? So you'd come in there and be like, "Present your swords." Everybody would hold up their Bible. And I'm like, "Don't call on me." They'd be like, "All right, present swords." Then they'd say the reference, and then they'd say, "Charge!" And all the kids would start looking for the verse. And I'd sit there and pretend I was looking for the verse. "Oh, no. No, that's second Ephesus. No, that's not what I'm looking for." Well, after a while, the teacher started to realize that I never read the scriptures. So I remember sitting there one day, and I'm sitting there going, "Don't call on me. Don't call on me." She goes, "Joshua, would you like to read our Bible story today?" "Please, would you read the Bible story for us today, Joshua?" "No, thank you, teacher." "Why don't you want to read the Bible story for us today, Josh?" "Do you hate God, Mr. Sexton?" "I know. You can't be like, listen, I can't read." And it was tough because my brother, who you saw up here, and it's not going to take too much for you to imagine this, but he was reading when he was like 3. Right? So, 2 years old, he's got half the Bible memorized. You know, what's John 3:16? "For God so loved the world that he..." And I'm over here spinning in circles, right? "Look at me, Mom, I can spin." He's over there reading the dictionary. "What is your problem, young fellow?" I'm good. I started to realize at a very young age that I was in a culture that had very specific things that good Christians do. These are the things that you wear this and you do this and you say this and you look like this, and I didn't fit. Right? I never fit. Everybody's getting kind of upset these days about cancel culture. Right? Like everybody's getting canceled for everything. Cancel culture. You got a bunch of Christians going, "This cancel culture is ridiculous." And I'm thinking, we invented it. Right? Everybody's like, "You can't be canceled for having an opinion. This cancel culture is stupid." I remember driving in Charlotte and driving past Target. And it's like, we're not shopping at Target anymore. We're not drinking at Starbucks anymore. We invented it. And then this Disney stuff started happening, right? And everybody's like, we will not watch Disney. We will not watch Beauty and the Beast. Why? Because the little clock fella, we think he's probably gay. He's probably gay. And the Little Mermaid is... Mermaids aren't black. Mermaids aren't real. This ain't the Little Mermaid I remember. Okay. But here's the thing. I heard that about Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, listen, did y'all see the first one? They were gay in the first one. I knew as a child when they started going, be our guest, be our guest. As a kid, I'm going, I don't think this is a very good influence on my young mind. And here's the thing. People tell me all the time, they're like, it's never been worse than it is right now. We've all heard that, right? The world has never been worse than it is right now. The Lord is coming soon because it is the worst. And then you hear people go, when I was a kid, we could ride our bikes anywhere we wanted. Anywhere. We get out of school and we get on our bikes and we would just roam with our friends and do whatever we wanted. But you can't do that anymore. Do y'all know that the 1970s is called the decade of the serial killers? Right? It wasn't that it was safer, it's that your parents didn't love you. There were over 300 active serial killers in the 1970s. There's like 12 right now. It wasn't that you were safer. It's that when you rode by the bush, the serial killer in the bush thought you was ugly. That's all. You just didn't know. Name a famous serial killer. 70s, right? Highest murder rate in the United States was in 1989. It has been dropping ever since, right? But we're going, you know what the problem is? Is when somebody killed somebody 50 miles away, you just didn't know. That's the problem. The problem isn't that it's worse now than it's ever been before. The problem is that Susie didn't sit on her couch with her laptop and comment on every bad thing that happened ever. Because as soon as it happens, it's like, did you guys hear? Did you guys hear what happened? There was an accident in Alabama. This will not affect your life in the least little bit, but I had to give an opinion. You know what I was saying? There was this guy that was driving. He was 38, and it was 6:30 p.m. I really feel like 6:30 is a little too late to be driving, but that's none of my business. It's none of your business. Why are you talking about it? But when we're inundated with all that bad news all the time, it's easy to look around and go, it's never been worse. No, we've never had more access to bad information. Always, immediately, right? Here's something that always jumped out at me when I was a kid that some of you may relate to. Have y'all ever been able to figure out why preachers have a voice? When I say preacher voice, you know what I'm saying? Right? It's like we have a message of love, but we're going to communicate it with as much rage as we can possibly muster. He loves you! I'm not sure you believe that. I started thinking about that the other day. I was like, why is it you got the cadence and the oh and the oh, right? I call it the asthma preachers. You know what I'm talking about? Some of you got your hair down your ear. Somebody get the man oxygen. He's going to die up there. Your worldly pants. You women in your pants. It's immodest. Your daughter's swimming in a jean skirt. I promise the pants would be more modest. I guarantee it. And you know the uniform. You know the uniform of the miserable woman? Jean skirt, white kids. Oh, that hit a little close to home. I apologize. I'm going to dance right past that one. Okay. But I always thought it'd be funny if you started doing daily activities with the voice. Right? Like I always thought it'd be fun to be like, I'm going to do my preacher voice. Because I was a pastor for a while and never mastered the voice. I always thought it was more effective, to talk. But I thought I'd practice, Just roll up to Wendy's. Yes, sir! I would like a number one! Give me some bacon! What was that, dear? Oh, the onion! These are just things I noticed when I was young. Just give you a little picture into who I was as a kid. We lived in Charlotte. By the way, moving here was a complete shock. We lived in Charlotte, and my dad bought us Daisy BB guns. And we had dirt bikes and BB guns in a neighborhood in Charlotte. I'm sure our neighbors hated us. We belonged more in this type of community, you know what I'm saying? We'd be out there with our BB guns. We'd get those little army men, and y'all shoot the heads off those little army men when you were a kid. Greatest day in the world is setting up those little army men and shooting them. I need to get me a BB gun. Anyways, one day we were playing. I had my BB gun. I was walking around seeing how many windows I could shoot out of the house. Most of the time by accident. And I'm walking around, and all of a sudden I hear a dog barking in the bushes. And my little 9-year-old brain said, that dog sounds a lot like Joey. And my next thought was, plausible deniability. So he would bark. And I was like, hey, are you a dog? He said, yes. And I was like, I'm in danger. I have no choice. Remember that little thing? He'd bark and I'd shoot. He'd bark and I'd shoot. I'm like, I'm going to get him eventually, right? And I'm like, it is a puppy. If mother is watching out the window, it is a puppy. All of a sudden he goes, stop it! That's my nipple! He came flying out of the bushes going, quit it! I said, I had no idea. I thought you were a dangerous wild animal. Life started getting complicated. So before this, the world that I lived in, the church culture that I lived in, it was just what we did. So the one that I was in, it wasn't... Y'all ever been in a church where it's a sin to move when you sing? I am very happy with my praise to the Lord. Just believe me. It's true. Right? When you were singing on stage, there was no stepping. That's satanic. It's here. You do not do a bob, you know what I mean? But you were supposed to show expressiveness with your eyebrows. Can't make this up, right? It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Nope, sin. Okay. Nope, sin. Okay. Nope, sin. All right. Be happy. I don't know how to be happy. Express with your eyebrows. Okay. Well, there was a kid that I went to church with that took that to the extreme. You know what I'm saying? It was like, amazing grace. Oh, and you can't laugh in church. That'll get you smacked in the side of the head. You know what I'm saying? You're going, Well, one day, I saw a very attractive woman. I was about 17 years old, and I was walking in the gym, and there was a volleyball practice going on. And I walked in there. I was going to work out because I was going to be playing basketball that year. And I was like, I'm going to go do some jumping rope and some squats so I can jump higher. And as I walked by the floor there, they were practicing, and I went, well, hello. How are you doing, right? So I started talking to her, and she was like, do you want to come to church with me? That's how she talked. Do you want to come to church with me? I said, what? What did you say? Well, I'd grown up in Baptist church all my life. But y'all know there's different kinds of Baptists. Now, we were independent fundamental Baptists, right? But our favorite verse is, let everything be done decently and in order. Decently and in order. She said, you want to come to my church? I said, what is it? She said, it's this Baptist church. And they were also an independent fundamental Baptist church. But it wasn't the same. I remember going in there and I'm sitting in there and I'm going, okay, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I know all the lines. Act natural. And the pastor got up, who also happened to be this young lady's father, and he said, can we have everybody come up and pray? Now, when we prayed, we took turns. You pray, you say amen, and now you pray. I'm like 17 years old sitting there going, we're going to all go up there and we're going to pray together and the pastor's going to pray. So I went up there, I was like, yes, I can do this. I've done this my whole life. And I kneel down, excuse me. And all of a sudden, there was a rumble that arose from the church as everyone began to pray as loud as they could. Lord! What? I was like, this is different. And here's what I found out. Everybody at my church loved Jesus. Everybody at this church loved Jesus. They did it different. But they loved Jesus. Right? And I remember going, well, this is new. This is new. And then I started to meet people who listened to the kind of music that I came out to, and I was like, they love Jesus too. And it was interesting. Here's the thing. I don't question anybody's faith in Christ in the environment that I grew up in. I don't. But it had some effects on me that I think may be beneficial. Y'all familiar with Christian cuss words? I didn't expect that to get a laugh. Apparently you all are, okay? I was growing up, it was, well, we have the big ones, right? We all know the ones that we're not allowed to say. When I started asking why, that's when I started getting in trouble, right? You can't say the S word. Okay, check mark. You also can't say crap. Why? That's a euphemism. It's a euphemism. How'd you go? What's a euphemism? A euphemism is when you're gonna say the thing, but you say another thing, and you may as well be saying the real thing. That's a sin too. Everything's a sin, right? I was like, there's a bunch of them. You're just running through a minefield of sins your whole life, going, nope, right? Look in the mirror, hairs on my ears, I have fallen, right? Okay. But it's a euphemism, right? So we can't say euphemism. So I'm on a basketball court on Sunday. We're at a youth activity, and I did something bad, and I was like, crap. Oh, here we go, right? Because we have something called accountability. That's a nice buzzword in church, isn't it? It's accountability, right? That's a fancy word for I don't like to mind my own business, all right? So all of a sudden, I'm in youth group with 4 people around me. Josh, you said crap, okay? That's a euphemism. Okay. All right. I'll do better, I promise. 17 Hail Marys. Okay, cool. So we go to play basketball on Tuesday, and one of those youth leaders is there. And he takes a shot, and he misses it. And he goes, oh, stink. And I said, man card. Give me your man card, right? Oh, stink. And I'm like, euphemism. Hey, precious, what stinks? Let's follow this out. Now, here's when I really got in trouble. Y'all ever heard of Bob Jones University? Okay. Bob Jones University is the pinnacle of let everything be done decently and in order. Here's the key. My grandmother was the secretary for the dean of students. This is my background, okay? The man who made the rules at Bob Jones University was my grandmother's boss. We would go to camp there. Hang on just a second. I loved camp there. We'd play basketball, we'd go to music camps. It was a blast. One summer, I think I was probably 16, Joey and I went to basketball camp. Now, to understand this, Bob Jones, you weren't allowed to walk on the grass. You weren't allowed to make eye contact with a girl. Not really, but after sundown, right? Like, no! People used to talk about pink and blue sidewalks. It wasn't that drastic, but pretty much, you know what I'm saying? It was like less than 6 feet rule. Leave room for the Holy Spirit. Now, I was a bit of a rebel. This is after I started going, why? Right? Tattoos are a sin. Why? It's a sin to say this. Why? You got to wear this. Why? So automatically I was a bad kid. Well, I show up at Bob Jones. I walk in my room. And when you walked in your room, you would have 4 bunk beds, right? Or 2 sets of bunk beds, 4 beds. You were going to have 3 roommates. Joey and I would always be in different rooms. So I walked in and I was like, okay, I'm going to get there and I'm going to get the best bunk. Right? I'm going to get a top bunk and it's going to be amazing. So I run in there, I get my bags all set up and I'm like, okay, who are my roommates going to be? Because you're going to be there for a week, you know what I mean? You don't want that guy. So the first dude walks in. He's like, what's up, man? I was like, what's up, man? He said, what are you here for? I said, I'm here to play basketball. What are you here to play or to do? And he goes, I'm here to play soccer. And I was like, not really a sport, but I'll allow it. So he was cool. I'm like, all right, you're cool, right? The next dude that walked in, when I say homeschooled, you know what I'm talking about? So I was homeschooled, but I was homeschooled. We get done with our school, we go play basketball at Silvermont for 6 or 8 hours, the park, right? We were around people. We were familiar with humans. Parents made sure of that. We did things, you know what I mean? As soon as this kid walked in, and when you're homeschooled, you can spot them. It's like, oh, you're one of those. Did mommy come with you? Is mommy one of our roommates this week? This is going to be exciting, right? So he walks in and he's got the hair slicked down here with the little alfalfa thing that's still dry in the back. You know the one I'm talking about? Like when his mom dropped him off, she was like, beautiful. So he comes in there and I'm like, hey man, I got some Mountain Dews. You want a Mountain Dew? I'm not allowed to drink Mountain Dew. It's like, I'm not either, dude, but she ain't here. We like to be healthy. Okay. Mommy wouldn't allow it. Mommy wouldn't allow it. The lights would go out, and one of the this other roommate that we had, the one that I said was pretty cool, even though we played soccer, we would start telling jokes, so the lights would go out, and he'd be like, hey bro, have you heard the one about the, I about got myself in trouble. Okay, so, and I'd be like, okay, and this kid would always go, guys, excuse me, it's lights out. We need to respect lights out. It's like, okay, princess, go to sleep. Thank you for your contribution. So about 2 days in, we'd had enough. Every time we would say anything, he'd be like, my mommy wouldn't like that. My parents. Okay, all right. So one day he left the room, and it was just David and I sitting there. And he goes, hey, Josh, I brought something with me to camp. I said, do tell. He pulled a little box out of his backpack, and it was little chocolate bars that said X-Lax. And he said, should I? And I said, no. But you're going to, right? And he's like, oh yeah. So there's a pack of them. And if you're not familiar with X-Lax, I just need to make sure for any kids in the room that haven't gotten to that stage of life. You know when you got the rumbles going on? And you like had 3 glasses of chocolate milk, and you're like, and then maybe you're in the grocery store and you're running, and some of you old dudes are kind of trying to hold it together because you know exactly what I'm talking about when you're going through the store doing the shuffle, you know what I'm saying? Not gonna make it, not gonna make it. and you go flying into the bathroom, and you kick open the stall. You always got to go to Ingles or Lowe's because it's a multi-stall, right? You go flying in there, and you kick it open, and you sit down, and you go, no! No! Have you ever been on the right medication? 7 days later, you're going, why? You come walking out of the bathroom, and your wife goes, did you have any luck? We've been married way too long, you know what I'm saying? X-Lax is one of those things that takes to... Oh, yes. Now, the instructions on the box said, please take one. So David looks at me and goes, should we give him some chocolate? And I said, I can't be part of this, but yes, please. So I left the room. Probably went to talk to Joey down the hall, find some trouble. And I came back in, and David's sitting on his bed. And homeschool boy is in the floor going, please, can I have some chocolate? And David said, beg me. And he goes, pretty please, can I have some chocolate? Please, can I have some chocolate? I said, I don't think your mom would like that very much. Please, can I have some chocolate? And David goes, okay, fine, and flicks him a chocolate bar. But he had taken where it's printed X-Lax on it, and he'd scratched the X-Lax off. And he flipped him a piece of chocolate, and I'm not making this up. Homeschool boy goes, yum, 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 yum. I said, I think he needs another one. So he flips him another chocolate bar. And he goes, yum, 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 yum. I said, he still looks hungry. Bless the man. 11 chocolate bars later. I didn't say I'm proud of this. I'm just retelling history. I'm bound by my integrity. So I'm waiting for it to hit, because this is going to work. When we go to bed, somebody comes by and says, lights out. And I lay down on the bed, and we haven't quite turned the lights out yet. And I look over at David, and he's in the bunk across the room, and he goes... And I went, look over at David. This went on for, 25, 30 minutes, and finally I'm going, I think it was expired. It's not going to work. And I'm laying there, and when you get to that space where you're not quite awake and you're not quite asleep, it's the most beautiful feeling in the world. And the older you get, the more you just love that feeling. And I'm there, and I'm laying there. And all of a sudden, from the darkness, I hear, look over at David, and he's like, this kid's laying in the bed, and he's going, no, 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 no. He jumps out of the bed. David's going, ah! This kid's going, no, 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 no. At this point, I realized that I was in real trouble. So about 5 minutes later, I'm laying back in the bed. About 5 minutes later, I hear a knock on the door. And then I open the door, and Joey's standing there. He was already bald. And he says, what did you do?
I said, I didn't do anything. David did it. And I thought he was a dog. I didn't.
He was in the hospital for 3 days. I know it's not funny anymore. See, that's why I shouldn't have told y'all that part, right? Moving right along. So here's the thing. There was As a young man, some of the stuff that I joke about and I talk about when I started asking the question about why the stuff, because all of the things that got attached to the gospel, right? It was, the Bible says this, therefore, we're going to add 1,900 rules to this. And then we're going to tell you that you have to live like this. And everything becomes worldly. Have y'all noticed that? Under the word worldly, it's amazing how well you can control people. Because it's not about the grace of Christ anymore. It's not about sinners in need of a Savior. It's a moment of grace at the altar where you place your faith in Jesus, and then you run out and you live with as much fear as possible that you might mess up. What if, like, some of you go in grocery stores, or have you been in situations where you go in the grocery store and Bon Jovi starts playing and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They're living on a prayer, but that is not the right prayer. And I'm sorry that I heard it. You know what I mean? It's like, hear no evil, see no evil, say no evil. Like, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to be good. I got to be good. And I had to be good. And nothing that I did was good. I couldn't read. I couldn't sit still. Ever. You know, people try to talk to me, I'd be like, squirrel, you know? Be like, Josh has a serious heart problem. And Mom would go, no, Josh just has a bunch of letters attached to his name. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the diagnoses that you're supposed to get where you're like, this kid's not going to do well. Doctor looked at Mom one time and told her that I would never function in society and that I would never be able to read. That is quite the prophecy spoken over your life, don't you think? One time we were in a church, there's like 800 people in there. She's singing on the stage, and I was standing on my head in the second row. She was standing motionless, singing, and I'm sitting there with my legs just... You're like, he's in the wrong kind of Baptist church, right? In the right environment, someone would be going, he's slain! He has been slain! He got the gift! I poured everything I had into basketball. I was like, listen, I'm not good enough anywhere. I can't be good enough. My hair can't look good. One time I grew facial hair when I was like the beard started growing when I was like 13, right? What do you do when you're 13 and you can grow facial hair? Grow a beard. You know why? Because none of your friends have one. So you're like, I got a beard and you don't. You're a little baby. So I grew a beard. All of a sudden, I've got the ring of youth leaders. Josh, I think you have a rebellious spirit. Huh? Facial hair. What? It's a sin to have facial hair? Yes, it's rebellion. But it says in the Bible not to shave the corners of your beard. Right near the verse that you ripped out of context to defend your position on tattoos. Don't mark your body for the dead. Don't shave the corners of your... There's an assumption going on there. Does that mean that everybody in the Old Testament that ever had a beard was sinning? Or Jesus? If your theology excludes Jesus, like if your theology makes Jesus a sinner, you got some really bad belief systems. Right? So when you read John 2 and go, it was Welch's grape juice. That part wasn't in my notes. And I regret it so much. I regret it. People go, no, it was grape juice. Right, well, the Greek word is oinos, O-I-N-O-S. In John 2. And then if we go over when Paul says, be not drunk with wine wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit, that Greek word is also O-I-N-O-S. So Paul is talking about something that can make you drunk. You're like, I don't like that. That's fine. The Bible talks about gluttony a whole lot, but you haven't called McDonald's a sin yet. I decided a long time ago, one of the tenets of being Baptist is gluttony. Right? Get you another plate. Why? It's what we do. We worship the Lord. We study the scriptures. And we move on to another joke. poured myself into basketball. I couldn't figure out how to answer the questions. I got angrier and angrier and angrier because I so badly wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to be the kind of Christian that I was supposed to be, and I could never measure up. And all of a sudden I realized that I could play basketball. So I poured everything into basketball. I got to where I could jump pretty high, I could shoot pretty well. Ended up playing high school basketball. I was homeschooled, played for 2 years, had a bunch of basketball scholarships. It wasn't like I was crazy good. It was like Division II stuff, you know what I mean? But it was enough to where my school was going to get paid for. And my senior year, we were playing against a rival school. I got hit in the face. My head bounced up off the floor, and I got a brain injury. We didn't really know it at the time, but I weighed 194 pounds as a senior in high school. Summer before my senior year, I could pull a car onto a basketball court and jump over the hood and dunk a basketball. You're like, he's bragging. No, I can't even touch the net now. Don't worry about it. After I got hit, I went from 194 pounds to 158 pounds in about 3 months. And that plan was gone. Well, I've got this hot woman that I've been talking to, right? I'm dating her. And I'm like, okay, these plans are gone. That thing that was my identity for so long, it's gone. I get married. And we live in what I would classify as abject poverty. But here's what I learned quickly about being married. And some of you may know this. When you're married and you have children, life gets weird fast. I've got a wife and I've got 2 daughters. 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. I don't know if you've ever tried to order food at a drive-thru with women. See if you can relate. We pull up. Now, this is not an isolated incident. You're like, when did this happen? All the times! All the times, this is what happens. I pull up into the Wendy's drive-thru. Where do you want to go? I don't care. Where do you want to go? Nope. Where do you want to go? I don't care. Where do you want to go? Just tell me! Where do you want to go?
We really don't care.
Okay, let's go to Arby's.
Listen. I've been thinking about it. Anywhere but there. Just anywhere but there, okay?
Burger King?
No, I'm not really in the mood for...
Just tell me.
Let's go to Wendy's. Okay, we'll go to Wendy's. They don't cut corners.
So you pull up, right? Goes, welcome to Wendy's. He's always real thrilled to be there. You know what I'm saying? Can't you always tell that? Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order? What do you want?
What do you want? What did I get last time? I don't know. I didn't care then and I don't care now. If you'll tell me what you want. Let's see here. Can we hang on?
There's 7 cars behind us. What do you want?
Yes.
The menu has not changed in 25 years. The burger or the chicken? Do you want the burger? Do you want the chicken? The chicken or the burger? What do you want? Here's another thing I need you wives to understand. When we're hurt, when we are hurt, leave us alone. Just leave us alone. I know you want to help. It's not helpful. The other day, I went in the bathroom and I was going to put, so my hair, if I don't put something in it, it just sort of looks like a chia pet. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and so I put a little something in there and we were going to go somewhere. And so I went in the bathroom, and when I went in there, I was looking for the little gooey stuff that I put in there. And I opened the drawer beside me and I pulled the stuff out and I put it in my hair and I put a little water in my hair and I put it in my hair. That's my hairstyle. Goo, shake, ready to go. Now it's time to go, and I realize that we may be running a little bit late, so I turn and I go to exit the bathroom as fast as I can and forget that the drawer's open. When my knee hit the drawer, I immediately broke into the Hallelujah chorus. You know what the one I'm talking about? Right, I said stink.
Oh, bummer. Stink.
So I hit it, I scream. I make it halfway across the hallway, fall on the floor, and I'm going, ow! Whitney turns the corner. I'm laying on the ground. I'm yelling. And she turns the corner. She goes,
Are you okay, honey? Are you okay? What's wrong? Did you hit your knee? Did you hit your knee on that drawer right there? Did you hit your knee on the drawer? Did your knee hit that drawer right there? Hey, why'd you do that? Why'd you hit your knee on the drawer right there? What do you need? Is there anything I can do? Yes. Leave me alone! You can't help me!
One more thing for you ladies, that if I could just mention this for a second. When we're going to a movie theater, and the movie starts at a particular time, they like to do that. Do y'all know that? I don't know if y'all picked up on this. When there's a movie and then a time beside it. Let me get it where you can see it. Movie, time. That time is when the show starts. We get that? Okay. When I'm driving the car and we're running late, which we are, wife, 2 daughters, we're always running a little late. We got to get there. Can I get popcorn? We just got to get there. Can I get a drink? The movie's not as good if we don't have popcorn and a drink. Can we get popcorn and a drink, Dad? Love some popcorn and a drink. All right, well, we got to get there and we got to go. So you pull in there, and what do? You pull into the parking space, you jump out of the car and you shut your door and you head across the parking lot. Why? Because that's where the movie is. Why is that when ladies start getting their luggage together? We've been driving for 25 minutes. You know when the movie starts. You know that you have to gather enough stuff for a 3-day camping trip. Put it in your purse now! Not when they're there and I'm going and you're going, are you just going to leave me? Are you just going to leave me? That's not a very gentlemanly thing to do. Are you just going to leave me? Are you just going to, you're just going to, I see. I guess the movie's more important than me. I guess you care more about the Jason Statham movie than you care about me. I'm sorry, I know there's some Christians in the room. The passion. Prepare early. Got one story I want to tell you guys. Fear. Joey mentioned pain and suffering. When I was 27, I was driving back from a job site. I was doing landscape installation. My life had sort of taken a bit of a turn when the basketball scholarship thing happened. I tried to go to school, couldn't afford it, ended up working, got married, and we were on the struggle bus, right? Just you do everything you can do to survive. She's working, I'm working, she's working nights, I'm working nights. At one point, I would do landscape installation from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then when I got home, I would go to Walmart and I would unload trucks from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Then I'd go home and go to bed and get up and start back at 6. A lot of you guys have lived that life. You know exactly what I'm talking about. One day I'm driving, and for some reason I had the night off at Walmart. And the sun was going down late. It was during the summer, so we were going to go play golf. We were going to go to the par 3 course, and we were going to play golf. We had it all planned out, Joey and I. I'm going to meet you there, and we're going to play some golf. And I was driving down the road, and I'd been on my hands and knees all day putting in a paver driveway, and the sun had been bouncing off the sand and hitting me in the eyeballs all day. I'll never forget. And I was driving down the road, and I was talking to him, and I was trying to tell him what I had done that day, and I was trying to tell Joey about the excavator. I was driving the excavator, and I couldn't think of the word excavator. And I kept trying to tell him, and I was like, I don't remember what that is. Well, all of a sudden, I realized that I couldn't speak at all. So I hung up the phone, and I was like, all right, this is weird. My eyes felt a little funny. Things looked a little weird. I was like, I'm going to be okay. Well, I'm a man, so what do you do when you don't feel well? You get some caffeine, right? Good old Mountain Dew will cure anything, right? Except those kidney stones they gave me. All right. But I pulled into the gas station, and I walked in, and I reached out. I walked into the coolers, and I reached out to grab the handle of the cooler, and I realized that I couldn't feel the cooler. And I'm looking at my hand, and I'm grabbing it, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel anything. So I think I'll be fine. I called Whitney, and I said my speech had come back. I was still numb, but it had spread down the left side of my body, and my whole left side was completely numb. And my face was numb. But my speech had come back, and I was like, okay, I'm getting better. So I called Whitney. I said, something weird happened. It's all good. And she goes, honey, that doesn't sound good. And I said, I'll be fine. I'm going to go play golf, and it will be fine. And so we went to the golf course. By the time I was on about halfway up down the fairway on the second hole, I was crawling up the fairway, and pain had started in my head that felt like somebody was putting an ice pick in the right side of my head. I'm like, all right, this isn't good. And so Joey called Whitney. Whitney came and got me, took me to the hospital. They started running tests. They ran tests for the next 3 months. They thought I was having strokes. And these things kept happening. But nobody had any answers. And we kept going and getting tests. Well, the doctor, the local neurologist said, you can't work anymore. I had to quit my job, and we ended up, over the course of the next year, we ended up living in a camper in my mother-in-law's yard, which she was very sweet to allow us to do. And I had spent 8 years, or 6 or 7 years, Whitney and I, building the life that we had and working and doing everything we could do. And all of a sudden, I'm laying on my bed, and I realized that I was completely helpless. And every few days, I would try to do something, and I would have one of these, what we started calling episodes. We didn't know what to call them. Then I was diagnosed maybe a year and a half in with a genetic neurological disorder that they believe I got from my biological father, who died when I was 6 weeks old. And they said there's no cure for it. It can be caused by light, it can be caused by stress, it can be caused by sound. There's something wrong with your brain that causes these things to happen, and there's nothing we can do to help you. So your best bet is to go on disability and make sure you stay in a dark room for the rest of your life. All right, cool. And I remember that feeling of, there was one day, well, let me back up. When these things happen, it starts with, they basically describe it as an electrical storm that starts in the back of my brain and spreads across to the front. And as it goes, it shuts down the different parts of my brain. So it shuts off my vision, and then it shuts off my speech, and it shuts off my feeling, and then it settles in the front of my brain, and that's when the pain starts. And I would throw up for 12 hours. And then for the next day, I will lose anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds. It depends on that particular episode. Eventually we found a specialist. I went to Phoenix. He helped me with some stuff that makes them happen less. But it's the most excruciating pain I've ever experienced in my life. I've broken bones and all that stuff. It's the most helpless feeling when you go to a job site at 10 o'clock in the morning and you know that anything that happens could cause one of these things. I think I've had around 130 of them since I was 27 years old. It's hard to go from being an athlete that's going to play college sports and you get your identity from your jumping ability, your shooting ability, your athletic ability. You can do it. You can feel like a man. You can hide from your insecurities, all the things that you saw in your Christian culture and you questioned about God. But I can be me. I can be somebody here, right? And then it gets taken from you then, and then you're like, no, I'm making it. I'm providing for my family. I'm getting up every day. I'm working as much as I've got to work to make sure those girls eat. And then that's gone? I remember kneeling down in a gravel driveway. Everybody was gone. Nobody was at home. And I knelt down in the gravel driveway right outside of the camper, and I yelled, why? God, why? Why do you let this happen? I'm doing everything that I can do. Have I not lost enough? Is this really what my life is going to be? Is this the love that I always hear about, how much God loves me. Does He really? Do you really? Because my wife, and here's the thing, when you're living in a camper, you can't walk, and your wife has to help you get to the bathroom because one half of your body is completely paralyzed. It's hard to feel like a man. It's kind of like when she gets on Facebook and starts selling your old stuff. Does your wife do that? You ever been at work and all of a sudden it says Whitney Sexton has posted something, and you pull it up and it's like a 27-year-old pair of shoes for sale on Facebook for $3? Are we really in that bad of shape? Do we have to sell all of our old crap? She goes, no, we may as well. Gonna get rid of it anyway. Fear became a staple of my existence. Still is on a lot of days. It's very strange to stand on a stage and know that that light could cause something to happen where usually it's before noon. So tomorrow, I'll know typically by noon if that light's going to cause my brain to just go, nah, we're done for 12 hours. How do you deal with that? Now, when you start back as a kid, kind of going, okay, I keep hearing about the love of Jesus, but all I feel is the pressure to measure up to some arbitrary rules that you guys have stuck on the wall, right? Then you lose the basketball, then you lose your ability to be a man and provide. It's hard to figure out how this whole God thing is supposed to work. How am I supposed to be good enough for all you people? How am I supposed to be good enough to where God keeps this stuff from happening? And I got bitter. It started 9 years ago. 130 times. I've woken up the next day 15 pounds lighter than I started. The last one was about 2 weeks ago. What do you do? How do you respond? Because let me tell you something, guys. The length of your clothes will not help you. When you're collapsed in the yard saying, Jesus, I need you, and I don't think you're listening. Whether or not your music matches a certain style will not help you when you need to know if Jesus actually cares about you. You can't be good enough in those moments to measure up. It will not happen. But I got bitter and I got angry and I sort of built a theology around the helplessness and the hopelessness of my life. God is sovereign. I must trust that. He doesn't actually care about my day in and day out situations. He's just in charge and He doesn't care about me. And I lived like this for years. Because the concept of a relationship with Jesus was this far-out picture. Now, I knew that when I died, I was going to heaven. But in the meantime, I was on my own. And my job was to do the best that I could do to make sure I didn't disappoint Him or somebody else in the process. And several months ago, I was listening to a song. I was talking to my brother. I was talking to the rest of my siblings. I was talking to my mom. I was talking to my woman. I was talking to Whitney. And I'm like, I am so angry all the time. Because I feel like my life is just an endless series of pain and disappointment. And I think some of you guys know exactly what that feels like. Is this really what life is supposed to be? And one day, I realized. Now, I've seen little victories of God working in my life. And somehow, I've never lost the ability to laugh, and I think that's from God. But one day I realized that Jesus wins. He doesn't just win one day. And listen, if you've spent your whole life being taught that your responsibility as a Christian is to make it through this terrible world, but one day in the sweet by and by, it's all going to be okay. That's not true. Jesus said the enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come to give life and life abundantly. Jesus said he holds your tears in a bottle. Guess what we know? You ain't going to be crying in heaven. So he cares about your tears now. Today. Right now where you sit, that thing that you've been trying not to think about that you've got to do Monday, he cares about that. And I realized that Jesus, his work on the cross wasn't so I can measure up to some denomination's arbitrary rules that they've piled on me. But my job is to say, Jesus, this is who you are. This is what you say is true. And I'm going to live victoriously because you already won. And I'm not going to live in fear. And here's the thing. Here's the story. Here's what I want you to understand first, real quick. And then I'm going to make you laugh before we leave. Okay, I promise. I want you to leave feeling like I laughed a little good. If I got 2 chuckles out of you, I feel like I won. But what I want you to understand is that God, when you sit and you hear somebody say, God can either be all powerful or all loving, but he can't be both. You ever heard that argument? Because if he was all powerful, he would make evil and suffering go away. But he doesn't. So he either can't or he chooses not to. And if he chooses not to, then he's not all loving. Heard that argument? Why does bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? But understand something. Is God, in his sovereignty, in his wisdom, and in his love, had 2 options when he made us. He could either make us as robots, or he can make us with the ability to love him back. Here's what I know about relationships. You know you cannot love without choice. Without the ability to say, I don't love you, saying I do love you is completely meaningless. So God decided that having an actual relationship with you was worth you rebelling against him. And you go, so God decided that it was worth it for me to suffer? No. He decided that it was worth it for him to suffer. We don't have a high priest that doesn't understand our suffering and our infirmities. Why? Because before the foundations of the earth, God looked at you and said, you are going to be a sinner. You are going to rebel against me. But I am going to take your sin on myself and take it to that cross. And then I'm going to get back up. And that's the best part, right? Right? Because he said, you matter. So here's the thing. A lot of you have been lost in this world of religion. The world of, what do I wear? What do I say? What do I do? What do I listen to? Where do I go? What do I do? No. Here's what you have to understand today. You are a sinner in need of a Savior. And Jesus loved you so much that before he made you, he said he was going to go to the cross for you. And he was going to take your sin to the cross. Now here's the thing that I've realized, is it's been a long road and there's been a lot of pain involved. Right? But today, I don't know what's waiting for me tomorrow, but I know he's carrying me today. Right? I know he's carrying me today. And this issue that some of you guys deal with, where you're like, why does God allow this stuff to happen to me? Because he loved you enough to let you go through it so he could carry you through it. I'm going to tell you one last story because you got to laugh before you leave. Fear is an interesting thing. Now, we didn't watch scary movies when I was growing up. You know why? Fan. But I think the first time I ever watched a real scary movie, it was a movie called The Ring. That's right. Now, here's the thing about me. I get scared pretty easy. Like still now. You remember when you were a kid and you were like, I can't wait till I'm a big, strong adult man because then when it's dark, I'm not going to be scared. Who told us that? You ever walk in a dark basement as a grown man and you go, I'm pretty sure there's something following me right now.
I'm pretty sure he's in here and he's going, I hope he doesn't think I'm cute. I just hope he doesn't think. Listen, I'm very weak. I've lost a lot of muscle mass. I don't think I could fight a murderer off right now.
First scary movie I ever watched was with my girlfriend, Whitney, who is now my wife. I'm blessed, unfortunately for her. We're watching this movie. Now, here's the thing. We're watching The Ring. And I don't know if you've ever watched a scary movie. As a man, when you're watching a scary movie with a woman, there's one thing you got to know, especially if you're dating. You're not scared of anything. It is your responsibility to watch the movie as the man. You are the protector. That creepy chick that's climbing out of the well is not scaring you at all. Why is she crying? Why is the phone ringing? You know what I mean? It's ringing. They're going to die in 7 days. But on the outside, you're like, I'm good, baby. How you doing? I'm good. I got you. You're safe with me. You're hiding behind the pillow going, y'all remember the part where she comes out of the TV and she's like, and you're going, no. It's all right, baby. I got you. I can protect you better from behind the couch. You know what I mean? It's going to be all right. I just want you to relax. You know what I'm saying? I got you. Don't let it get me. I almost forgot how a mic worked for a second. Y'all see that for a second? Does this work for you guys? You fine with that? Okay. Here's the thing. There's all sorts of scary movies, all sorts of monsters, things that are terrifying in movies. But the scariest thing in any movie are little girls. There's nothing scarier in any movie than a girl standing somewhere going, come play with us. Come play with us, right? They're like, get away from me, demon child. It's terrifying. One night, I was home. Winnie was working nights. And she was gone. And the girls were, Kiki was, 4. Kenzie was 2. And we'd play. And Kenzie, I'd gotten their food together. And Kenzie is at 12. She's about the same as she was at 2. Y'all have any of these kids that'll be like, hey, listen, can I? It's like, we're having pizza. I don't like pizza. Can I have chicken nuggets? Okay, fine, you can have chicken nuggets. Don't tell your mom. Here's your chicken nuggets. Okay, right? Well, what happens the next day? I made you chicken nuggets. I don't like chicken nuggets. I would prefer some pizza. You hated pizza yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to hate it again tomorrow. Like whatever you give them, I don't like that anymore. That's disgusting. I feel like you're a bad father for even suggesting that I've ever liked pizza ever in my entire life. Do you not pay any attention to me? So I finally got her to bed, and Kiana to bed, and Whitney wasn't home, so I'm alone. And if you've been married for a while, you know that it's weird to be alone. You're just laying in the bed like, I don't really remember how to sleep like this. How do I do it? So I finally get settled in. And here's the thing when you're scared of the dark. The scariest things are always under the bed. Right? So I don't know if you picked up on this, but you can't ever have a dangle. You can't ever, there's no, if you're dangle, right? Because there's the hands, the thing that's under the bed is always right there ready for your hand to get off the side of it. You have to keep it protected because that thing is coming out from under the bed going, right? And you're just going, no. So you never let, because that's how it gets you. Right? And you always stay covered up in the sheet. Because if a foot comes out of the sheet, you lose your protective barrier. Right? Because that monster that's under the bed, he's got the axe, you know what I mean? And he's just ready to annihilate you. He's just laying under the bed, you move that sheet. You move that sheet and you die, you know what I mean? And so, but you got to keep the sheet, because when that monster comes out from under the bed, it's just like, oh, he's got the cotton polyester blend. There's nothing I can do about the cotton polyester blend. He got the nice sheets. He's protected from murder, right? So I'm laying in the bed and I'm all covered up because murder. Like everything's fine, and I've got the nightlight, and the nightlight always casts a shadow, and it always looks like somebody standing in the corner. Have y'all ever noticed that? All shadows look like people just standing there staring at you. I like the way you sleep, boy. You are a creepy shadow. So I'm laying in the bed, and I'm facing the wall, because if you face the door, you see them coming, but if you're face away, they can't see you. You know what I'm trying to say. So I'm laying in the bed, and I'm facing the wall, and I'm looking at that shadow like, you stop staring at me, shadow. I'm a big man. I'll turn those lights on. So I'm laying there, and that night light's casting a shadow, and all of a sudden, I hear the door go, I said, just please take our stuff. There's a big screen TV in the living room. Just take it. Just please don't murder. I'm wearing a sheet. I have the sheet. And I look up on the wall, and there's a shadow. And it's got long hair. And all of a sudden I hear, Daddy? Like, what's your social security number? Daddy, I don't feel very good. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what's wrong, sweet sunshine? What's wrong? What's wrong, little angel? It's Kiana. She says, Daddy, I don't feel very good. My tummy doesn't feel very good. And I said, listen, Mom's at work. Go back to bed. I have not gone through this training. Right? I'm like, what's wrong? Can I help you? What do you need? Daddy, can I get in bed with you? I'm like, okay. Come on. So she shuffles over there. I don't feel very good. I'm like, all right, it's going to be okay. I don't know what to do, but here you go. So I got her, and I laid her on top of the comforter, and she had her little Minnie Mouse blanket, and I covered it up with her Minnie Mouse blanket, and I'm like, you're going to be okay, honey. It's fine. Father's here, right? Do you need anything? No, okay. So I lay back down beside her, and we're laying there, and I'm about to go to sleep. You know, I started getting that warm feeling again, about to go to sleep. Nice. And all of a sudden I hear, Daddy, I don't feel very good. I said, honey, you're going to be okay. So we laid there for a minute. All of a sudden, she sat straight up. Daddy, I don't feel very good. Like, honey, are you okay? Daddy, I don't. No! No, ma'am! Daddy, I don't. Stop it! No! I'm running around and going, I don't know what to do! Daddy, I don't. I will spank you! No! I will spank you! Stop it! Daddy, I don't. She begins to projectile vomit everywhere, similar to The Exorcist, right? I'm going, no! Stop it, stop it, stop it! All of a sudden, she puts her hand in front of her face. I don't know if you've ever run water through a strainer. She goes, ugh. I'm like, Fear is, I tell stories like that, and I think about the goodness of God in suffering. Because that little girl was a blessing from God. A wife was a blessing from God. My youngest that we got when we were in abject poverty, we adopted her. And God brought her to us. And so often it's easy to look around at the bad things that happen in life and feel like your life is defined by that. I think about the huge family that God gave me, that have supported me and loved me through all of it. And at the end of the day, I say life is hard, but God is enough. And I don't know what's coming tomorrow, but Jesus will carry me through tomorrow. And if you'll let Him, He'll carry you too. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it.